This story from the Just So stories is called How the Leopard Got His Spots. In the days when everybody started fair, best beloved, the leopard lived in a place called the highveld. Remember, it wasn't the lowveld or the bushveld or the sourveld, but the exclusively bare, hot, shiny highveld, where there was sand and sandy-coloured rock and exclusively tufts of sandy yellowish grass. The giraffe and the zebra and the eland and the kudu and the hartebeest lived there, and they were exclusively sandy yellow brownish all over. But the leopard, he was the exclusivest, sandiest, yellowest, brownest of them all, a greyish, yellowish, catty-shaped kind of beast, and he matched the exclusively yellowish, greyish, brownish colour of the highveld to one hair. This was very bad for the giraffe and the zebra and the rest of them, for he would lie down by an exclusively yellowish, greyish, brownish stone or clump of grass, and when the giraffe or the zebra or the eland or the kudu or the bush or the bontbuck came by, he would surprise them out of their jumpsome lives. He would indeed. And also there was a panther with claws and sharp teeth, exclusively greyish, brownish, yellowish panther, who lived on the highveld with the leopard, and the two used to hunt together. And the leopard exclusively with his teeth and claws, till the giraffe and the eland and the kudu and the quagga and all the rest of them didn't know which way to jump, best beloved. They didn't indeed. After a long time, things lived for ever so long in those days, they learned to avoid anything that looked like a leopard or a panther, and bit by bit, the giraffe began it because his legs were the longest. They went away from the highveld. They scuttled for days and days and days till they came to a great forest, exclusively full of trees and bushes and stripy, speckly, patchy, blatchy shadows, and there they hid. And after another long time, what with standing half in the shade and half out of it, and what with the slippery, slidey shadows of the trees falling on them, the giraffe grew blotchy, and the zebra grew stripy, and the eland and the kudu grew darker, with little wavy grey lines on their backs, like bark on a tree trunk. And so, though you could hear them and smell them, you could very seldom see them, and then only when you knew precisely where to look. They had a beautiful time in the exclusively speckly, spickly shadows of the forest, while the leopard and the panther ran about over the exclusively greyish, yellowish, reddish, highish veldt outside, wondering where all their breakfasts and their dinners and their teas had gone. At last they were so hungry that they ate rats and beetles and rock rabbits, the leopard and the panther, and then they had the big tummy ache both together. And then they met Bavian, a dog-headed, barking baboon who is quite the wisest animal in all South Africa. Said Leopard to Bavian, and it was a very hot day, "Where has all the game gone?" And Bavian winked, for he knew. Said the panther to Bavian, "Can you tell me the present habitat of the aboriginal fauna?" That meant just the same thing, but the panther always used long words. He was a grown-up, and Bavian winked. He knew. Then said Bavian, "The game has gone into other spots, and my advice to you, leopard, is to go into other spots as soon as you can." And the panther said, "That is all very fine, but I wish to know whither the aboriginal fauna has migrated." Then said Bavian, "The aboriginal fauna has joined the aboriginal flora because it was high time for a change, and my advice to you is to change as soon as you can." That puzzled the leopard and the panther, but they set off to look for the aboriginal fauna, and presently, after ever so many days, they saw a great, high, tall forest, full of tree trunks, all exclusively speckled and sprottled and spottled, dotted and splashed and slashed and hatched and cross-hatched with shadows. Say that quickly, loud, and you will see how very shadowy the forest must have been. "What is this," said the leopard, "that is so exclusively dark and yet so full of little pieces of light?" "I don't know," said the panther, "but it ought to be the aboriginal flora. I can smell giraffe, and I can hear giraffe, but I can't see giraffe." "That's curious," said the leopard. "I suppose it is because we have just come in out of the sunshine. I can smell zebra, and I can hear zebra, but I can't see zebra." "Wait a bit," said the panther. "It's a long time since we've hunted them. Perhaps we've forgotten what they were like." "Fiddle," said the leopard. "I remember them perfectly on the highveld, especially their marrow bones. Giraffe is about 17 feet high, of an exclusively fulvous golden yellow from head to heel, and zebra is about 4.5 feet high, with an exclusively grey fawn colour from head to heel." Said the panther, looking into the spickly shadows of the aboriginal flora forest. "Then they ought to show up in this dark place, like ripe bananas in a smokehouse." But they didn't. The leopard and the panther hunted all day, and though they could smell them and hear them, they never saw one of them. "For goodness sake," said the leopard at tea time, "let us wait till it gets dark. This daylight hunting is a perfect scandal." So they waited till dark, and then the leopard heard something breathing sniffily in the starlight that fell all stripy through the branches, and he jumped at the noise, and it smelt like zebra, and it felt like zebra, and when he knocked it down, it kicked like zebra, but he couldn't see it. So he said, "Be quiet, oh you person without any form. I am going to sit on your head till morning, because there is something about you that I don't understand." And presently he had a grunt and a crash and a scramble, and the panther called out, "I've caught a thing that I can't see. It smells like giraffe and it kicks like giraffe, but it hasn't any form." "Don't you trust it," said the leopard. "Sit on its head till morning, same as me. They haven't any form, any of them." So they sat down on them hard till bright morning time, and then Leopard said, "What have you at your end of the table, brother?" And Panther scratched his head and said, "It ought to be exclusively a rich, fulvous orange tawny from head to heel, and it ought to be giraffe, but it is covered all over with chestnut blotches." "What have you at your end of the table, brother?" And the leopard scratched his head and said, "It ought to be exclusively a delicate greyish fawn, and it ought to be zebra, but it is covered all over with black and purple stripes." "What in the world have you been doing to yourself, zebra? Don't you know that if you were on the high veldt, I could see you 10 miles off?" Excuse me. You haven't any form." "Yes," said the zebra, "but this isn't the high veldt. Can't you see?" "I can now," said the leopard, "but I couldn't all yesterday. How is it done?" "Let us get up," said the zebra, "and we will show you." They let the zebra and the giraffe get up, and zebra moved away to some little thorn bushes where the sunlight fell all stripy, and the giraffe moved off to some tallish trees where the shadows fell all blotchy. "Now watch," said the zebra and the giraffe. "This is the way it's done. 1, 2, 3. And where's your breakfast?" Leopard stared, and Panther stared, but all they could see were stripy shadows and blotched shadows in the forest. but never a sign of zebra and giraffe. They had just walked off and hidden themselves in the shadowy forest. "Hi, hi," said the panther. "That's a trick worth learning. Take a lesson by it, Leopard. You show up in this dark place like a star after sunset." "Ho, ho," said the Leopard. "Would it surprise you very much to know that you show up in this dark place like the moon in the night sky?" "Well, calling names won't catch dinner," said the panther. "The long and the little of it is that we don't match our backgrounds. I'm going to take Bavian's advice. He told me I ought to change, and as I've nothing to change except my fur, I'm going to change that." "What to?" said the Leopard, tremendously excited. "To a nice working blackish-brownish colour with a little purple in it and touches of slaty blue. It will be the very thing for hiding in hollows and behind trees." So the panther changed his skin then and there, and the Leopard was more excited than ever. He had never seen a panther change his fur before. "But what about me?" he said, when the panther had worked the last pad of his paw into his fine new fur. "You take Bavian's advice too. He told you to go into spots." "So I did," said the Leopard. "I went into other spots as fast as I could. I went into this spot with you, and a lot of good it has done me." "Oh," said the panther, "Bavian didn't mean spots in South Africa. He meant spots on your skin." "What's the use of that?" said the Leopard. "Think of giraffe," said the panther. "Or, if you prefer stripes, think of zebra. Then find their spots and stripes, give them perfect satisfaction." "Oh," said the Leopard. "I wouldn't look like zebra, not forever. So, well, make up your mind," said the panther, "because I'd hate to go hunting without you, but I must if you insist on looking like a sunflower against a green bush." "I'll take spots then," said the Leopard. "But don't make them too vulgar big. I wouldn't look like the giraffe, not forever so. I'll make them with the pads of my paws," said the panther. "Stand over." Then the panther put his 5 pads close together and pressed them all over the Leopard. And wherever the 5 pads touched, they left 5 little marks all close together. You can see them on any leopard skin you like, best beloved. Sometimes the pads slipped and the marks got a little blurred, but if you look closely at any leopard now, you will see that there are always 5 spots. "Now you are a beauty," said the panther. "You can lie out on the bare ground and look like a heap of pebbles. You can lie out on the naked rocks and look like a piece of pudding stone. You can lie out on a leafy branch and look like sunshine sifting through the leaves. And you can lie right across the center of a path and look like nothing in particular. Think of that and purr." "But if I'm all this," said the Leopard, "why didn't you go spotty too?" "Oh, plain is best for a black panther," he said. "Now come along and we'll see if we can't get even with Mr. 123, where's your breakfast?" So they went away and lived happily ever afterwards, best beloved. And that is all. Oh, now and then you will hear grown-ups say, "Can the leopard change his spots?" I don't think even grown-ups would keep on saying such a silly thing if the leopard hadn't done so once. Do you? But he will never do it again, best beloved, for he is quite content as he is.